Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and big day. Big day. You could probably tell what is up with the title, but Travis Kalanick, he has left the Trump Advisory Board. Yep. All before I was about to go on DoorDash too. I mean, now I gotta make a video and maybe I'm gonna be late to my dash, but I don't care. So, I'm gonna read you the letter that he sent to his employees because I have the full email here, and I will put a link to it below, of course. But yeah, this is amazing. Dear team, earlier today I spoke briefly with the president about the immigration executive order and its issues for our community. I also let him know that I would not be able to participate on his economic council. Joining the group was not meant to be an endorsement of the president or his agenda, but unfortunately it has been misinterpreted to be exactly that. I spent a lot of time thinking about this and mapping it into our values. There are a couple that are particularly relevant. Inside Out. The implicit assumption that Uber or I was somehow endorsing the administration's agenda has created a perception reality gap between who who people think we are and who we actually are. Just change. We must believe that the actions we take ultimately move the ball forward. There are many ways we will continue to advocate for just change on immigration, but staying on the council was going to get in the way of that. The executive order is hurting many people and communities all across America. Families are being separated, people are stranded overseas, and there's a growing fear the U.S. is no longer a place that welcomes immigrants. Immigration and openness to refugees is an important part of our country's success and quite honestly to Uber's. I'm incredibly proud to work directly with people like Tan and Emil. I hope I pronounced that right. That's my comment, not the emails. Both of whom were refugees who came here to build a better life for themselves. I know it has been a tough week for many of you and your families, as well as many thousands of drivers whose stories are heartfelt and heart wrenching. Please know your questions and stories on Tuesday, along with what I heard from drivers, have kept me resilient and reminded me of one of our most essential cultural values: be yourself. We will fight for the rights of immigrants in our communities so that each of us can be who we are with optimism and hope for the future. So, nice email, all that jazz. Here and this is why you don't want to mix your politics with your business. I mean, some would probably argue that being on the Trump advisory board, that was probably mixing your business with politics, but this is why you don't want to make a statement. This was a big mistake because now this is obviously in response to hashtag delete Uber. Now, do I believe hashtag delete Uber is going to kill Uber? No, not even close. These things blow over. The thing about boycotts these days is that they are quick to instigate, and they're just as quick to evaporate as well. To get people to do a long-term boycott is one thing, but as the stories of Lyft being the new number one ride-sharing app continue to pile up, I think Kalanick decided he needed to get out of Trump's grace. I don't know if he was ever in it, but off of Trump's board to at least give the perception that he doesn't stand with Trump's policy. And he might always honestly not even agree with the immigration thing. I'm not even going to make the claim and pretend that he doesn't agree or does agree. I just don't know. What is pretty clear though is that because of what happened, and again, I can't believe I'm saying this is not Uber's fault. Hashtag delete Uber is stupid. It should have never happened in the first place, but people's perception, and that's what he was correct about, there's a reality gap here. Perceive that Uber supported Trump's immigration ban just because Kalanick was on the board of advisors. Now, it benefited Uber to be on the board of advisors because, again, they need Trump support. That's why all these companies are on the board of advisors. Interestingly, it's only the startup companies and a couple Silicon Valley companies like Microsoft and Apple that are against it. Target, Walmart, Amazon, all these companies, they obviously see no benefit to getting involved. It's like, no, we're just not going to say anything, and they're smart to not say anything. Of course, they've been in the business long enough to know better. You'd think Microsoft and Apple would, but they're so rich they probably feel like they've got rhino skin. But they're also dealing with a president who's a little temperamental, who, definitely likes to go after his enemies. Kalanick very well may have made an enemy with Trump today, especially since this is going to spread. And what Kalanick hopes will happen is that when it spreads, people will start coming back to Uber. And they probably will. Some people will probably come back to Uber. But it's also going to make him fall more and more out of graces with Trump. And thus, Trump's going to be less lax on Uber. And then Trump might even actually start forcing Uber to adhere to some of the taxi industry laws, which at that point, the taxi companies who were ironically protesting Trump would be all for it. It's who knows where this is going to go. But here's the thing, Uber simply should have not said anything. And when people say, well, did Uber do the right thing by cutting the surge on the airports, thus setting this whole thing in motion? Here's my I'm going to make another video on that later on. Um it's going to be called Why Uber Should Not Turn Off Surge. That's what the title of the video is going to be. Now I'll explain my full position on it there. But sneak preview, no, I don't think that was a good idea. And I don't think it was warranted, and it was a bad mistake. So, and I'll tell you why in the other video. For the time being, what's important here is that Kalanick is not on the Trump advisory board anymore. Therefore, he has put Uber, at least long term, into potential jeopardy because he might have made an enemy out of the president of the United States, a very temperamental president of the United States. Not saying if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And we're gonna have to see where this goes from here. And yeah, so what do you folks think? I'd like to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. I'm gonna go do some DoorDash.